Is the green dream about to be crushed in the push for net zero? Britain's top four energy quangos have seen their costs increase by up to 380% in order to implement Ed Miliband's agenda, with costs set to double further before 2029 as the projects continue to expand. While quangos are ballooning at huge cost to the taxpayer, energy bills remain sky high, and the government continues to refuse to issue new licences to drill for oil in the North Sea. So is the quango boom the latest example of the net zero scam, failing to bring down energy bills, but increasing the state and its power to make us cold and poor? Well, I'm joined now by the friend of the programme, climate journalist Donncha McCarthy. Donncha, thank you very much for joining me. I mean, this seems pretty wasteful, all these quangos eating up more and more money. Oughtn't they to be slimmed down a bit?
I thought it was quite interesting. The Taxpayer Alliance's analysis didn't actually point out that the cost of the Ofgem went up 145% under the Tory government, and it's only gone up 37% under the current government. Obviously, if you're expanding the amount of wind turbines and solar energy to move to cheaper clean energy, you have to have a bureaucracy to manage it. If they didn't have the bureaucracy to manage it, we'd be complaining when the lights go out. So you can't have it both ways. And the idea that they are going to make us cold on a day to day when we're breaking all previous British temperature records. What is happening here, in my view, the Taxpayers Alliance, which won't declare who their funders are actually advocating what I call corporate socialism. They want the oil companies to make the profits, and they want the people of this country to pay the price. Tonight, Jacob, there will be pensioners in flats suffering in overheated flats as the temperature soars, and the oil billionaires will be lovely air-conditioned palaces profiting from this. It's absolutely corporate socialism.
And the answer to that's more air conditioning, isn't it, which requires more fossil fuels. And if you look at death rates in New York since 1900, you see that they've declined in the summer as more air conditioning was introduced, because more people die of heat than cold every year.
That is true, and in my work as an eco auditor, I find that if you put in air conditioning into a premises, you double the cost of the energy for that building for the year. So we're talking about
cheap energy.
So we're talking about here about moving to doubling the energy requirements of households across Britain. And that is absolutely another subsidy from taxpayers and consumers to the oil billionaires who are profiting. It's absolutely outrageous.
It's not, because actually more people die of cold than heat each year, rather than the other way around. But no, what it does is it makes people's lives more comfortable. The ability to use cheap energy is fundamental to economic growth and fundamental to the comfort of life. And that's why we are now able to have central heating in houses. And it's really interesting that once people have more insulation in their houses, they seem to make their houses warmer, because they want to be warmer and more comfortable. They like having heat in the winter and air conditioning in the summer.
Yes, people, of course, if it's 40 degrees outside, it was 46 degrees in my garden today, which is horrific. Of course you want to be cooler, but you have to pay for the energy, whether it's greener or fossil fueled. And the International Energy Agency is very clear. The cheapest new fuels nowadays on the market is wind and solar. And they have said Spain, which has one of the greenest, has the cheapest energy in Europe now is Spain, because they have switched to renewables. And British Energy, because we're now nearly 50% green, the wholesale price is cheaper than 12 to 13 other countries. Jacob, as I've said many times in this programme, the reason why it's expensive in this country is because we have privatised the national grid, which puts £500 on every single consumer's household bill.
On a day like today, when it's warm, and it's going to be warm at night as well, there isn't a lot of wind, so you're not getting the energy. And in the winter, it's even more true. You need to have the backup from gas. And that when you say wind is cheap, it's only cheap when you don't account for the backup. When you account for the backup, it's much more expensive.
The last time I was on your programme, I pointed out that the fourth largest economy in the world, which is California, has actually now produced, they have around 2/3 of their grid is green, and they provide 8% of their energy comes from batteries. Battery prices have collapsed. They're now economical. They're cheaper than new gas. And you said on the last programme that California's GDP was in trouble. I checked, because I didn't have the figures at the time. I checked, Jacob. California's GDP was the highest rising in America last year and has the greenest energy. It's a win-win.
California is losing all its rich people in the same way as we are, as they're all fleeing to Florida and Texas to get that. But let's get back to the costs of your...
It's one of the most successful economies in the world, running on two-thirds green energy.
It's having a terrible time, and poor old San Francisco has become a cesspit. But let's get Ofgem. Ofgem had a 237% increase in its costs, from 77 million to 260 million. Its staff went from 907 to 2,276. This is absolutely ridiculous. Even the Climate Change Committee, which is just an old bunch of gas bags, has gone up. Let me see if I can find
it went
the
up
number
from
here.
37 people to 50, Jacob, is the figure.
It's just ridiculous.
So the taxpayer lines...
doing?
The taxpayer lines are basically a front for the oil industry. We don't know who funds them. And actually, a bit of breaking news, Jacob, you may not know, is the government today announced that they would not require think tanks like the Taxpayers Alliance to declare the donations in response to a petition to Parliament. I don't understand why we don't require these people to declare the donations.
The Taxpayers Alliance is absolutely a wonderful organisation that reveals scandalous expenditure and waste by the government, and shooting the messenger doesn't get us anywhere. But this gas bag committee
needs to know where they're coming from. So let's pick up the CCC. You say they've gone from 37 employees to
57.
50.
57.
Okay. So what are they trying to do today? We are looking at billions of pounds of infrastructure being damaged by extreme heat. We're looking at railways not working properly. We're looking at billions of pounds of We're looking at billions of pounds of air conditioning being put in. We're looking at, they are actually producing the plans to adapt to the increasing heat that we're now experiencing. Having only 57 people doing that, I think, is a really small number when we're actually facing people. When we're facing people.
Too many. They put out their dreadful report saying we'd have to eat less meat and drink less milk.
Well, you already know, Jacob, that the railway to the southwest is already significantly troubled by actually hundreds of millions of pounds required investment to deal with drying out land and buckling railways. The temperatures today buckled the electricity. It will take thousands of people to plan how to cope with this in future.
This is no different from what we've had before. As you remember, well, you don't remember, you weren't around at the time, but we had temperatures of this scale 80 years ago, that we have had hot summers before. We had the hot summer of 1976. That we have hot summers, sometimes we have cold winters, sometimes we have rain.
Nigel, I've been around since 1950s. Jacob.
That's right. You're promoting me. Next you'll call me Rupert, and then we'll have
next Prime Minister. I've been around since the 50s. Of course we've had hot weather, but the fact is that this is 2 degrees hotter than any previous record in London. It's terrifying in terms of the implications for where we're heading. And this was predicted, Jacob. This was predicted by the oil company scientists. They told us in the noughties and teens nothing would be impacting on us. They said in the 20s and 30s serious extreme weather would be hitting us, and in the 50s it's going to be disastrous. We've got to act.
All right, well, I think I'm more optimistic than you are. I think we need a little bit of fracking and lots of cheap gas. Anyway, Donna, as always, thank you for joining me. A government spokesman, aren't we lucky, said net zero is the economic opportunity of the century. No, it's not, AI is. Anyway, we're absolutely focused on ensuring every pound spent of taxpayer money delivers for the public. Well, that's very helpful of them. So, we've been talking about quangos and the male mogs have come in.